Welcome to Failure is Progress, presented by Sweat Factory CrossFit. I am Coach Frankie Ortega.
And I am Coach Keith Barber. Join us today as we discuss everything going on inside the CrossFit space and, more importantly, what new and exciting things are happening in our Sweat Factory CrossFit gyms.
As always, thank you to all of our listeners. We appreciate the support and truly enjoy the feedback we've been receiving from all of you.
Please reach out through our DMs on Instagram. If you aren't already following us, please do so at Failure is Progress, all lowercase. And now, on to today's episode.
All right, and we're back with episode 23 of Failure is Progress. I am here with Coach Keith Barber. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well, sir. I'm doing well. How are you?
I am amazing. I am Frankie, for those who don't know me.
Who doesn't know Frankie? Come on now.
Hey, you know.
The world renowned.
There may be new people listening who are in other countries. You know, we've seen the spread of the analytics.
Yeah.
We're showing up in Canada. We're showing up in Colombia. We're showing up in Venezuela. We're showing up in Uganda. Yeah. I didn't even know you can get podcasts in Uganda. But that's exciting. So, for those who don't know me, now you know. All right, man. What are we talking about today?
Today, we're going to get into the importance of cooling down. Not only the importance, but also how. Because I think there's a lot of misinformation about what the cool down is, the purpose of it, all that fun stuff. So
I like it. This is something that's important to me. It's become very important. I would say probably about like September, October last year is when I really started to research the whole cool down process. So I like it, man. Let's get right into it. So, cool down. Why should we cool down?
Why should we cool down? So,
actually, no.
Lots of reasons.
Let's dial it back even more. What is the cool down?
Cool down is the opposite of your warm-up, right? Like, if you do it after your workout, it's to bring your heart rate back down to the baseline. It's so that you start to get into that rest and digest, or your parasympathetic nervous system, so that your body can start to repair itself after all of the strenuous activity that you just put it through.
Okay. Let's talk to those people who don't understand words like parasympathetic. I'm surprised you got that one, by the way. But
I don't know if I should be offended or not.
Well, you usually fumble words. But
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
That was good. Yeah, so, I mean, let's just say we're talking to a group of kids, right? And we're trying to explain to them why this is important. And obviously, I think that's a good group to use as an example because they're least likely to cool down. They're
Facts.
least likely to need the cool down, I guess, right? They're also less likely to warm up.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's say we're explaining it to kids, right? Why would it be important for them, especially at a younger age, to do a warm-up style workout after their workout is over?
Yeah. If we're speaking about kids, it's definitely important for them just so that they maintain, one, their ranges of motion, maintaining their quality of joint health too. If you just beat up your body and then don't really do anything after to kickstart that repair process, then you're probably not going to have healthy joints for as long as you should. Exercising is great, but at the end of the day, we should be looking at exercise as a means as an investment to prolong our lives. And if
I like that.
If our exercise becomes a detriment to that, then we need to figure out how we can change things up so that it fits with that goal.
I love that you said investment, and I love that you said, for our longevity, was it?
Yeah, something like that. I don't think I used that word, but that's what I meant.
I think that's so important because so many athletes come to us, and there's always a short-term goal. That's really the only thing that matters, right? Why are you, coming to one of our gyms to work out with us? Well, I want to lose weight. I want to get toned. I want to lose some body fat and get toned, right? Okay, what is that it? Is that the only reason? You very seldom have someone come in who says, well, I want to make sure that in 20 years, I am as mobile as I am today. I want to make sure that when I'm in my 50s, I'm as healthy as I am in my 20s. You don't get that, right? So I think that's important. The other part is obviously maintaining ranges of motion. something that we lose a lot. And I'll use the squat, for example, because we spend so much time either sitting in chairs at the office or sitting on the couch, sitting in cars. We've limited our range of motion to just that height. So that's why for so many people, it's very difficult to do a air squat to full depth when they start with us. And that's something that's important, obviously, for kids. It's important for adults as well, right? Because we can get it back. Just takes a little bit of extra effort, takes a little bit of work. In my case, it takes a lot of effort.
Definitely depends on who you are, for sure.
But it's important, and one of the reasons I started this obviously was very different from the norm, right? I started this mostly for mental health. I just want to be able to get away from the world for at least an hour a day. Now it's become like 8 hours a day. But that's great because I'm definitely happier and healthier in that regard. But it has led me on all these different journeys to learn about cool downs, learn about the importance of the warm-ups, learn about all these different things. Let's talk about specific cool downs, right? What does a cool down look like on any given day? Is there a specific duration?
Yes and no. So depending on which exercise physiologist you ask, your cool down should be a quarter length of your workout. So let's say you had a workout that was, let's say we're talking about somebody who goes to like a global gym or a more traditional style gym where there's, just a bunch of machines and maybe some barbells and some free weights. They're probably going to be in there anywhere from an hour to 2 hours. So they're looking at a 15-minute to 30-minute cool down. That being said, it's kind of overkill, if you ask me, because your average person that's going in there isn't doing the same style of workout that like your elite bodybuilder is doing or your elite CrossFitter is doing. So they probably don't need as much cool down, and the cool down's probably also going to look a little bit different than, like I said, those elite athletes.
So let's be more specific. I'm going to use the workout from Friday, February 23rd, and we'll talk about that in specific because there is a warm-up programmed, there is a 15-minute back squat session programmed, then there is a workout programmed, which it says the goal is somewhere around 6 minutes. And then that's it. The rest is just extra credit. So let's talk about this workout in specific. Warm-up is 2 rounds, neck circles, arm circles, elbow circles, a lot of circles. Then we get into 15 minutes of back squats, building to a heavy 3, right? Then our workout is 3 rounds of 8 power cleans, 8 thrusters, 10 power cleans, 10 thrusters, and 30 double unders. What would a cool down look like for a workout of this classification where you have a strength portion followed by a metcon?
Yeah, and that was going to be my next point, is that because CrossFitters do high intensity work, usually they're moving probably, I would like to say at least 50 minutes out of that hour, like class. So they're probably moving on average a little bit more than somebody that goes to like a regular global gym, even if they still did an hour quote unquote workout.
Well, that question's coming after this one.
Oh, okay. I'm jumping ahead. My bad. So for this workout, what I would like to do is definitely take care of your lower back. Anything that you can do to start relieving the amount of tension that's going to run through your lower back. You have a lot of movements in this workout that are just going to be loading your spine, i.e. the power clean, the thrusters, and we're going heavy on the back squat. So we got a ton of just sheer force going through that spine. So your lower back is going to take a pretty good beating. And it doesn't really matter how strong you are or how strong your lower back is. It's still going to get beat up because we're building to your heavy set of 3. You know what I mean? Like your heavy set of 3 isn't good. Even if you are super strong, if you have a 500-pound 1 rep max back squat, you're probably going to be,
And the 400s,
450s
right?
for your 3 reps. So with it being relative like that, and then going into a very high rep, or what I would consider high rep workout, we're going to need to do some stuff for that lower back. Now, that being said, I'm not a huge fan of foam rolling your lower back. There's a lot of different reasons for that. One, there's just not a ton of tissue on your lower back, whether it's muscle, fat, whatever the case is. So you just end up rolling your spine, and that just hurts. But all the muscles surrounding your lower back, like your lats, your glute medius, glute maximus, all the glutes, all of the glutes,
All the
always,
glutes.
always the glutes. Maybe getting a lacrosse ball, digging into your QFL, all of that type of stuff that surrounds the lower erectors, I'm all for it. Stretching the lower back, again, I'm all for it. Maybe getting some cat cows in, getting in some really, really slow, like Jefferson curls with light weight, maybe even no weight.
So the main stimulus of this cool down would be your lower back.
That would be the main focus for sure. I think if we had to put a stimulus on it, my ideal stimulus would just be time under tension. So we're trying to get tension through our lower back in a lengthened position. So anything that's going to stretch it out. So like even sitting down in a straddle stretch and just reaching forward as far as you can, trying to get as much length out of the lower back as you can, or getting more blood flow to the areas that are around the lower back. Like I said, I'm not a huge fan of foam rolling your lower back directly. But like I said,
It's funny because I am.
yeah.
I always have to foam roll my lower back.
Yeah.
I feel everything in my spine crack. It's almost like being on a massage table. It's so beneficial
Just
for me.
lengthens it out. Very nice.
Yeah, for real. And that's kind of your fault. You're the one that got me on foam rollers.
Like I said, I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with it, but like I said, there's just not a whole lot of tissue there to like, so it just ends up, for me personally, it just ends up hurting my spine just because maybe I'm just bony. I don't know. But
So then, is there any cardio component to this? Because I know that you've seen me and a lot of the athletes that see me, anytime I finish a workout, I typically reach for a rower or a bike, and I'll sit on there for anywhere from 5 to 10 to 15 minutes. And I'm trying to cool down my heart rate. I'm trying to lower my heart rate in a slow fashion versus just coming to a complete halt. Numerous times we'll see somebody finish the workout, then they will take the, I'll say the opportunity to die on the floor in front of the fan and then just lay there. I did watch a podcast sometime last year with Chris Henshaw, who is the father of endurance, style training, and he was very specific. After a workout, you want to take nowhere more than 90 seconds, maybe 2 minutes max, and then you want to cool down and lower your heart rate. And he used a graph as an example, right? If we were to look at a graph for our heart rate from warm up to the end of the workout, in most workouts, and I've seen this now that he said it and I heard it, it was almost like, oh yeah, that is exactly what happens. People will start their warm up little by little. They'll start ramping up. All of a sudden, they're sweating. Then they're doing their strength portion. Heart rate starts to continue to spike. Then we get into the workout where your heart rate is going to be 85, 90%, God willing. If you're getting more than that, it's okay. But then immediately after that, that graph, as opposed to looking like a slow curve, turns into a mountain. And it's just a steep drop straight to the bottom as you die on the floor in front of the fan. So what he proposed was, instead of doing that, allowing that curve to continue and now slowing down that heart rate by either going for a walk, going for a ruck, going for a light jog, going for 5-10 minutes on the bike or the rower, something that allows you to slowly ramp your heart rate down. And now what you look at is this curve that looks like a big camel's hump, so to speak, versus, a straight peak and then a straight valley. So is there a cardio component to, let's say, a workout like Fridays? Would it be beneficial to throw something in there like that? Or would you just go right into taking care of your lower back and taking care of those, those quads and those glutes that you use in the squats and the thrusters. Maybe some shoulder rotations because those thrusters are going to probably beat up the shoulders.
Yes, there is a huge value to, like you said, ramping down your heart rate, not only from a recovery standpoint, but just from a fitness standpoint. Usually you've already built up this huge pull of lactate in your muscles, and by taking that opportunity, you can start to teach your body how to flush that more efficiently, more quickly, quicker, and like I said, you can just increase your fitness because there is that opportunity to do that in that time. That being said, if you're someone who only has 5 minutes right after your workout, and let's say you work out in the morning and you only have 5 minutes before you got to get out of the door, get home, shower, and get to work, I would much rather see you taking care of your joints than to hop on a piece of cardio equipment and kickstart that recovery process. The reason for that is 9 times out of 10, you're still going to be moving throughout the day. And that will, hopefully you're still moving throughout the day. Some of us work office jobs and we don't have that opportunity. But if you're intentional about, making sure you get your 10,000 steps a day and you're moving throughout the day, then some of that recovery benefit is kind of just embedded into your lifestyle, or you can embed it into your lifestyle. 9 times out of 10, unless you are going that extra mile,
Right.
you're probably not going to do the things that are going to take care of your joints throughout the day. Like, it's a lot harder to embed that into your lifestyle than it would be just making sure you're moving your body so that that heart rate does ramp down properly.
I like that. And I mean, there are studies where if you do high intensity interval training, typically your heart rate will be slightly higher throughout the rest of the day. You're going to be burning more calories throughout the rest of the day just because your body was in that metabolic spike, right, up and down throughout the workout. So I really like that. So let's flip it from a CrossFit style workout. We do have athletes who every once in a while will come into the gym and just do open gym. They won't do a metabolic conditioning workout, and they will just focus on doing back squats, doing push presses. Is there a cool down there? Because I know the warm-up is different, right? Usually, like, for example, let's say I'm going to come in and just do bench press and back squats. I'm not going to go through a full warm-up like I would for a workout because I'm really only going to do chest and then squats. So I typically will just warm up with the barbell, doing some bench press as I let my muscles kind of get the blood flowing a little bit, and then just start racking weight and going. I'm not going to go through this whole entire process. Is the cool down the same for that?
It's probably going to be more specific to the muscle groups that you actually used. That being said, you can kind of have a more general, for lack of a better phrase, cool down than your warm up in that case scenario. Like, your warm up in that case scenario is going to be very specific. There's no point in spending 3 to 4 minutes warming up your hamstrings if you're just doing bench press and back squats.
Right.
Yes, the hamstrings are going to be involved, but your quads are going to be way more involved. Your glutes are going to be way more involved. Your chest, your triceps, those areas are going to be way more involved. So you want to warm up those areas specifically. Your cool down, however, can be a little bit more general in that sense. So even if you had a cool down that you regularly do, in that case, it would still be okay to do whatever you had been doing. Let's say you were implementing some more like rehab type stuff in your cool down. So your cool down was, let's say you went for 3 rounds. You went for a 100-meter walk. You did a pigeon pose on each leg for 1 minute. And then you had,
I love the pigeon pose.
let's say you had some half frog rocks in there. And you did 10 reps, 10 rocks on each leg. Like, that would still be a very effective cool down. You're still getting the ramp down effects of your heart rate as well as your body temperature. You're still taking your joints through a more full range of motion. You're eliciting some stimulus from those stabilizers that probably got wrecked during your main sets. Even though that's a more general idea of a cool down, it would still be effective for your workouts that are more specific, like if you're just lifting or if you're just doing a Metcon, or if you're just doing some gymnastics training. Excuse me. It would still be just as effective as getting like super specific, like, oh, I did back squats, so I need this recovery protocol, or I did I don't know, I did deadlift, so I need this recovery protocol, or I did pull-ups today, I need this specific recovery protocol. It's like, yeah, like the differences in the cool down is going to be very marginal.
So let me ask you this, now that you mentioned that, would it be a bad idea if I had a specific protocol that I did every day after every workout? Almost like a total, let's say I'm a working dad, I have my workout at 6 a.m., I have to be out of the gym by, let's say, 7:15. I know class ends at 7, I've got 15 minutes. Would it be a bad idea to have the same exact cool down every single day if it's like a full body cool down? Let's say I did, workout's over, I do 5 minutes on the assault bike, then I'm going to go ahead and just do, some banded stretches, some foam rolling. Foam rolling the same things, whether I use those predominantly or not. Would it be a bad idea to do that?
It would not be a bad idea to do that, to have the same recovery protocol or cool down protocol every single day. I would caution you to try to change it up at least every 4 weeks. Like go through 4 weeks of the same cool down protocols and then try to switch it up to something else.
Why 4?
It's going to take about 4 weeks for your biology to affect some change, whether it's marginal or whether it's like really noticeable. It's still going to take that long for it to really, for you to see the results of it.
I got you.
And there's nothing wrong with lengthening that out to maybe 12 weeks, maybe even, you can even go 6 months if you want to. But at some point, I would like to see you change it up because there's no way you're addressing all of the things that need to be addressed as far as like end range of motion and lengthening out certain muscle groups and things like that with that 15 minutes.
So are you saying our cool down also needs to be constantly varied?
I would say that we need some variance for sure in our cool down.
Yeah, I do like that. So at least 4 weeks, and then at some point change it up and add a few things. I like that as well. That's a good one, man. I like that a lot. I think I'm going to have to start using something other than an assault bike.
And there's nothing wrong with that as far as like your cardio piece. The assault bike's hard. Like you use that to cool down?
I do, and I like it for many reasons. Sometimes I've cooled down on the C2 bike if I'm at a gym that has a C2 bike. There's a couple things that I prefer from the assault bike over the C2 bike. One, the seat is much more bearable.
Yeah.
The C2 bike is more of like a typical road bike seat. Also, the assault bike involves your arms. So as opposed to just keeping my arms in a static position, I do like using my arms and flushing out anything that I did. So if we did something, perfect example, the thruster, the assault bike is more of a full body workout. I'm going to be pushing with my triceps, pulling with my lats, and just getting my heart rate down while also using my entire body at the same time. I have done a lot of cool downs on the rower. Typically, I'll do the rower if I want to be there a little bit longer. All of these, I do them at like 20 to 30%. I'm not going.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Like, are you able to get your heart rate down on an assault bike?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I can get
That's
my heart
impressive.
rate down in anywhere.
I feel like because the barrier of entry for a assault bike is so much higher than a C2 bike that I don't think I would be able to get my heart rate down. Like there is no damper on an assault bike. Like you have to push. You have to give it some muscle.
I I slightly disagree because I've also used an Echo bike. So on the Echo bike, there is no 20 or 30%.
Mm.
I've tried to cool down on the Echo bike. It's a lot harder to bring my heart rate down. On the assault bike, you almost have like this, like a planing. I don't know if you've ever been, we used to call it when I rode around in a boat. You know, you give it gas, you get the boat to where the bow of the boat comes down, and now you can pull the gas down, but the boat is actually just cruising, right? The assault bike is kind of like that, where if you go hard and then you dial it back just a little bit, you're kind of in this zone where it carries and it continues going. Whereas like the Echo bike, there is none of that. If you're going slow, it's going to punish you. If you're going hard, it's going to punish you more. But there is no non-punishment on an Echo bike. The assault bike is one of those where, like, I could do 15 minutes, 20 minutes on an assault bike cruising, you know. It's still going to be tough.
Yeah.
But by cruising, I mean, I'm talking 40, 45 RPMs.
Yeah.
You know, maybe even lower. You know, once you start getting to 55, 60 RPMs, your heart rate is jacked.
Yeah.
Maybe even lower, maybe 35 RPMs. You know, the assault bike allows you some leeway. Echo bike does not.
Yeah.
Echo bike
I feel like that on the assault bike though. Like if I'm at like anywhere from 20 to 50-ish RPMs, that's no longer aerobic for me. Like I can feel like the muscular fatigue at that point, the stamina. So like I can feel the quad burn, I can feel the lat burn from me pulling, I can feel my triceps burning from me pushing. Just from having to go so slow, I feel like I gotta muscle it more. Maybe I'm just putting too much effort in. I don't know. I have to try that out.
I think it has to do with the fact that, you know, talk to me in 10 years. Talk to me in 10 years and tell me if it's the same. You know, maybe 10 years ago it would have been hard for me too, but you know, there's a little bit of an age gap between us. I do also have a cycling background. I did spend 3 or 4 years where I was riding 30 miles a day on a bike. So that could also have something to do with it.
Yeah.
But you have a track background.
Yeah, that reciprocal motion with my feet still feels like relatively speaking comfortable, but it's not quite the same because on a track I can pull more with my hamstrings than I need to push with my quads. I don't really get that option on an assault bike. Nope. Like you have to step down on that pedal.
I think that's where the difference is for us, yeah. Because I pedal in a circular motion throughout the whole 360-degree pedal, throughout the whole stroke. I'm pushing and pulling at the same time.
Well, yeah, I still pull my foot up, but it's not adding any power to the movement. Like the faster in a sprint, the faster I pull my heel up underneath. There was that. That was the mess up that we were waiting for. The faster I pull.
That was fun.
The faster I pull my heel up under my hips, the more power I can generate and the more force I can propel forward. In this situation, I'm only lifting my foot to take the weight off of the pedal to make it easier for my opposite side foot.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I feel like in cycling, you're clipped in, so you can actually pull the pedal up.
Yeah, in cycling, you know, you're pedaling throughout the entire pedal stroke. You're using one foot to pull while you're using the other to push, until you get to like the last, whatever it may be, the last 2 or 3 miles where they call it hammering, and you're just all quad. You actually get a little bit further forward on your seat and you're just pressing. There's no hamstrings involved. It's just all power. But yeah, that's interesting, man. That's interesting. Maybe we'll have to race on the assault bike one of these days.
No, I don't think I'd go that far.
We'll see who can get further.
Yeah, maybe if we did like that sounds gross. Like a 30-minute
Nope.
For calories.
I'm out. 30 seconds, yeah, but not 30 minutes.
30 seconds I feel like would be a sprint. I feel like I would have a slight advantage just because I'm a little bit heavier than you. Am I heavier than you?
I don't think so.
No?
I think you're taller than me. I don't think. You're taller than me.
Yeah. Limb lengths may become a factor there, but I think I'm closer to you than you think I am.
I'm at 215, between 210 and 215 at any given day.
I am heavier than you. I'm 225, bro.
My man.
Your boy's beefy right now.
Muscle weighs more than fat. Bro.
Yeah.
Muscle weighs more than fat.
It weighs more.
That was Shaq's saying, right?
Yeah.
All right, man. So, moral of the story: cool down is important. I know it is not. It's not always programmed. We talked about this in our last coaches development thing. You know, we don't always develop the time for people to practice certain things, and it's not always programmed to cool down. But if you do have anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes after each class, definitely cool down. Like he said, give it at least 4 weeks. You know, try it out. If you're an athlete who only does 3 days a week or 2 days a week, take those 2 or 3 days and do your cool down afterwards, and then specifically see how you feel better or feel throughout the day afterwards, and then see how you sleep that night. Because I've noticed personally that I sleep hella better when I do cool down and when I do take care of myself after a workout. All right. I think there was something else you wanted to add.
Yeah, bro. I wanted to do a quick segment of like a would you rather. So I have 6 different scenarios here. 3 of them are like athlete based and 3 of them are coaching based. And I'm just going to read them out and then we'll kind of discuss.
So this will just be you asking me, or we're going to like
I mean, we can bounce it back and forth, or if you just want to run through it.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll get some back and forth. We'll let the people hear the chemistry. So the first one is: would you rather have a workout that has predominantly burpees or predominantly thrusters in it?
burpees.
Burpees for sure. Yeah,
100%.
I hate thrusters so much. It's just such a long movement for me, and there's nowhere to truly like. I feel like the both phases of the movement are equally hard. Like coming down for me is just as hard as going up, because I don't like to crash in the bottom of my squat. So I like try to control the bar a little bit more. Like if you've ever watched Kurt do thrusters, it looks like it hurts. It genuinely looks like he is just in pain. But he's like, no, I'm fine. I'm like, all right, you do you, bro.
Yeah, no. Thrusters, if my mobility was better, there's a good chance I would take thrusters over burpees, because I'm just so slow with burpees. But I feel like burpees is one of those things where I can do them 3 or 4 days in a week, and the following week, they're great. I've adjusted. Now my body can get through burpees quickly. Thrusters, it's not going to happen. No. I'm Kurt's face. I'm in pain. Everything hurts. My wrist, my shoulders, and I think we talked about this recently. I was able to do an actual thruster for the first time, because none of my thrusters have ever been properly done. I always have the bar where it's braced on my wrists as opposed to my shoulders. So I was able to actually get the bar on my shoulders. It's been a process to get there. But I think if I could get to a point where I could front rack the bar properly with my hand full grip around the bar, there's a good chance I could take thrusters at 65.
Yeah,
Not more than 65.
That's also a good point. Like the weight definitely matters.
I'll counter that. Thrusters or wall balls?
Wall balls.
Yeah?
Yeah. I can get a really good breathing pattern on wall balls and do large sets. Like I can do sets of like 30 unbroken and not be fine, but like maintain the rest of the stimulus. I feel like if I had sets of 30 thrusters, number one, I'm breaking them up. Let's start there.
100%.
I'm breaking them up. Like, and we're assuming that it's like a normal weight, like a 95-pound thruster. We're not talking about like people doing like 185 and crazy stuff like
so
that.
So 15 thrusters at 105 or 45 wall balls at 20.
45 all day. All day. Even if I had to break it up in 2 sets, depending on how many rounds there are. If we're doing like 1 round, then obviously I'm taking the thrusters just because it's less overall volume. But
I don't know how to answer this one. Because I'm good at wall balls.
Yeah.
I just don't like doing more than 5 in a shot.
Mm.
And I know they're going to get me in the open. But they make my heart rate go through the roof. I'll get my heart rate 105% if I'm doing wall balls. But I guess I got to work on those more.
Yeah, yeah. Now we know. All right, brother. The next one is: would you rather work out inside the gym or outside the gym?
Oh, you know that one. Outside every day.
Yeah,
Oh, hell yeah.
I think
As long
I.
as it's not raining.
Yeah, that too. I would rather work inside the gym, work out inside the gym, because we're here in Florida and it's hot as you know what. So if it's like dead of summer, I would definitely rather work out inside the gym. One, you're closer to the fan, so it just feels better. But I think like as an athlete, to challenge myself more, I would probably start doing more workouts outside just because you are like quote unquote braving the elements and having that extra like it factor for your workout.
No, not for me. Outside any day of the week. I'd rather I like the heat. I like the sun. I'm solar powered. I'm solar powered. Yeah. I don't like the fans. I generally don't like the fans. If whenever somebody goes over and turns on a fan, I have to turn away from it. That's one of the issues I have with the assault bike is that fan blowing up my nose kills me. And if it's cold, even worse. But yeah, I'll take outside over inside any day of the week.
Yeah.
I wish we had a rig outside and could work out outside.
Yeah.
That would be so fresh.
All right. The next one is: would you rather do a workout that has all weightlifting or all gymnastics?
You answer that one.
Well, you know what I'm going to say. Gymnastics all day. I love weightlifting. Don't get me wrong. I love weightlifting. I love coaching weightlifting. I love doing weightlifting. But there's just something about like swinging through the air on the rings or like being upside down on your hands that I really enjoy it. I love doing gymnastics.
So I'll answer this in two ways. I would rather do gymnastics because that's what I'm weaker at and that's what I want to work on. I also like gymnastics movements more. Which one would I be better at? Definitely the weightlifting. If there's a barbell, I'm not good at either of them, but I'm much better with a barbell than I am with my body weight.
I mean, don't sell yourself short. I saw Chalkit Pro last night. I was checking you out. Hit that 315 for three or 325 for three?
Yeah, I
on
think so.
on your deadlifts?
I think so.
Yeah. You cooking, bro. You cooking. I see you. Man's working hard.
I'm trying, putting the effort in.
All right. So then the last three are going to be about coaching.
Ooh.
Would you rather coach mornings or evenings?
Oh, mornings every single day.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm a morning person. I'd rather work out in the morning and I'd rather coach in the morning.
Yeah, that's the dilemma that I have is because I would rather work out in the morning, but I would also rather coach in the morning. So it's like, well, you can't do both. I mean, I guess you could.
Well, yeah, that's why we do, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you usually do the 6 a.m. and then you coach at 8:30.
Yeah.
I usually coach at 5 a.m. and then I'll figure out a way to work out after that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm a morning person. I also like bringing the energy in the morning. I feel like our athletes need it. Sometimes they come in and they're dragging, and just having that one person who's apparently taking too much caffeine, you know.
Is in your Cuban blood.
Yeah. For me, morning, definitely.
Yeah. Would you rather coach newbies or veterans?
Ooh. I like coaching newbies, man. I like coaching, but there's a big asterisk on there, right? Being the general manager of Afterburn and being one of their first points of contact when they start. I like being that person to introduce people to CrossFit. I like being that person to introduce them to Sweat Factory. You know my journey and everything that happened with me. It took me 8 years to step into a CrossFit gym because of the fear that I had. So I take that into account with every athlete. And when they walk in the gym and it's that intimidation factor, for me, I'd rather coach somebody who feels that way so that I can remove all those limitations and allow them to just have fun versus coaching someone who is a veteran who's been doing this for a while and is probably just going to complain the entire time about the workout.
Oh, the accuracy. So yeah, I'm right there with you. I would much rather coach newbies. That being said, I think it's just so that one, they're usually more receptive to coaching, so it's a lot easier. Sometimes veterans get set in their ways and they're like, I'm good. I don't really need to be coached today. Coach me when we have like snatches and ring muscle ups. But if we just got like deadlifts and push ups, then I don't really need to be coached. But at the same time, sometimes it can be more fun in like in a technical aspect to coach the veterans, because then you get to do all like the deep dives. You don't have to like lay that foundation, because usually they understand it a little bit. Usually they understand it a little bit more. So then, I get to use some of my nerdiness to like geek out about like the hand placement on your handstand push-ups, or like activating certain muscle groups to save different muscle groups and get into strategy a little bit more. So that kind of stuff is kind of fun to me. But yeah, if I had to choose, it would definitely be newbies, so that I could usher them into the culture and like really help them understand what it is we do here.
So here's another question for you. Would you rather, or let me say, which is more rewarding for you? Helping someone get their first air squat in 20 years, or helping someone who's been doing CrossFit for 6 years get their first ring muscle up?
Ooh, good question.
That's all I do, man. High quality.
Yeah, it is.
Which is more rewarding?
Yeah, that's a hard one to answer. So I think it depends on how much the athlete values it. Because if this was a goal of yours, like let's say you're the person that's trying to get the air squat, if this was a goal of yours when you came into the gym, you're going to be super gassed when you finally get it. You know what I mean? Like you're going to be amped up, you're going to be hype, you're going to be high fives and smiles, just like the guy that got their first, or guy or girl who got their first ring muscle up. Same, it's going to be the exact same amount of excitement for both of those athletes.
I don't think so.
But if you're the newer, you don't think so?
I don't think so.
Somebody that's been struggling with their mobility for 20 years?
Well, think about it. You have someone who is trying to get their first air squat, right? And let's say they've been doing CrossFit now for 2 weeks, right? They graduated their foundations and they're trying to get an air squat. And they finally break that parallel, right? That's a big thing for them. But then you also have that athlete who for 6 years has been doing everything, right? They do kipping, chest to bar pull-ups. They can get muscle ups on the bar. They can do just about everything. 10 unbroken toes to bar. They've got all these movements, right? And they tell you the one thing that I just can't get is the muscle up on the rings. And now all of a sudden you go over and you help them accomplish that. I think there's a lot more to that. I think there's a little bit more to that. Why? Because this is somebody who now has much fewer accomplishments to shoot for, right? Now they're in a maintenance area, right? They've been doing this for 6 years. This is something that's normal for them. And they've been trying it, but they've felt that constant defeat every time they've tried to do it, versus somebody who for 20 years, they just haven't been working out. And now they're able to break parallel and get an air squat. Yes, it is a big accomplishment. I think the gravity of, no pun intended, the gravity of getting that ring muscle up for somebody who's been failing at it over and over again for, let's say, 3 out of those 6 years is slightly bigger. That's my opinion.
Well, and that's why I said like the context matters, because the person that comes to us and says like, I literally can't get down to the floor, and get back up. I need help to get off the floor. That person, and in my experience, is just as gassed to hit a full range of motion squat unassisted as the person they've had just as many failures as the person that's trying to get their ring muscle up. Now, if we're talking about a newbie who comes in and they're just like, look, I'm just trying to look sexy, and they start out not having a great squat, and we're like, hey, let's modify some things, let's change some things, and then 2 or 3 weeks later, they squat below parallel. Like, yeah, I'm going to be excited for you, but you don't care at all about your squat quality. You know what I mean? Like, that's not really what you're here for.
I get that.
So I think for me, it's more about like, yes, I would celebrate that, but I would be celebrating it to help them understand that this is a win. This is something you should be excited about. Like, this is a bigger deal than what you think it is.
Agreed.
And kind of opening their eyes to like, oh, wow, like my body can do amazing things.
I like that. Okay, I agree. You changed my mind. You got another one?
Oh, yeah. Last one. Would you rather coach strength or skills or coach Metcons? And strength and skills meaning like that 15 or 20 minutes of class where we specifically do like one thing. Would you rather coach that or Metcons?
That's a good question because I like coaching progressions for Metcons when there's multiple movements. I kind of hate that I have to pick, I'll give you an example. Yesterday's workout was handstand push-ups and it was deadlifts, right? There was only 2 movements and we did do deadlifts before. So it was a perfect storm yesterday where you could go through the deadlift progression and check all the points of performance. And then when you got into the workout, you really only had to focus on the handstand push-ups. But in a workout where you have more movements, let's just say power clean, you've got toes to bar, you've got double unders, you kind of want to spend an equal amount of time going through each of those. And I like doing that versus, I've only got 6 minutes to go over these 3. So I'm going to focus on the power cleans and then guess what, guys? Just do your double unders and do your toes to bar, Right. I prefer that over just doing, push press and going over the push press and then 15 minutes of push press.
Okay.
If that's the right answer to if I understood your question correctly.
Yeah. Let me ask another question then. So if you were only doing one for the day, like if you were only doing a strength or skill or only doing a Metcon for the day, which one would you rather?
The Metcon.
The Metcon?
Yeah. Yeah, I think the Metcon.
I think I'm leaning the other way. I think people get, because of the intensity and all that other stuff, they may get more, for lack of a better phrase, value out of the Metcon. But I really enjoy nerding out on, like, technique. And I feel like we get a little bit more of that.
You love your technique.
I feel like we get a little bit, like if we were only doing a strength or skill for the day, I feel like I could take like 30 minutes to just like deep dive into whatever we're doing that day. If we're doing snatches, we can just break those PVC pipes out, get into some positions, and really like deep dive into that and really clean up some movement patterns and then like hit our strength portion after, as opposed to like a Metcon, like you said, you have 3 or 4 different movements. So, yeah, you can still get into them a little bit more than like if you're doing strength bias programming, which is the strength and then Metcon in the same day, for those of you that don't know. But it's still not as much as if you take like 30 minutes on one movement,
Yeah, I think a couple things. One thing, and this goes from back in my Arnold strength days, I love the fact that the Metcon is the same for everybody. It doesn't matter what scale the scale is. Everybody's doing same time domains, give or take, same amount of effort, Let's say we're doing push press. Every single person is doing a different weight. You can't have everybody do, like for example, you and I are going to push press together. Great. We're kind of similar in our weight. We can share a barbell. When it comes to the Metcon, everybody has to have their individual, unless it's a partner workout, right? But everybody has to have their individual equipment. Everybody has to have their individual scaling option for them. I love scaling, but I also love the equality of it. I love that you can use 70-pound kettlebells for your double snatches, and I have to use a single 53-pound kettlebell because it's going to take us the same amount of time to do the same, to do the effort.
Yeah,
I know.
I understand the analogy, but just for the listeners, that did not happen in real life.
I mean, you did the double 70s faster than I did the single 53.
No, it was double 53s.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay. It wasn't.
So then I like that you use the double 53s to get the same rate of perceived exertion that I got with the single, right? Mm-hmm. The time domain was the same, but it takes me a little bit more effort to get to the same stimulus. Mm-hmm. I like that. I like strategizing for the stimulus. Mm-hmm. I like that when somebody does Fran, they can choose different repetition schemes versus 21 15 9. Somebody may do 15 12 9. Somebody may do 12 9 6. They're all going to get the same at the same time, trying to do it under 6 minutes, right? At least for our level method programming, but it's all the same, right? I like that. I like telling somebody, all right, you're going to go for this while you're going to go for this. And I like it from a coaching perspective, the challenge of trying to make sure that X person is getting this range of motion and X person is doing that range of motion and holding their technique, even though they're under a heavier barbell, even though this person's only doing knee raises and that person's doing toes to bar. I want to make sure that they're keeping their core nice and tight. I want to make sure they're pointing their toes at the bottom, etc. I like that challenge from a coaching perspective. Yeah. I think the strength portion, I mean, it's fun if you get to do power cleans, if you get to do snatches, but if it's a day where you're just doing something that's very monotonous and it's not a very dynamic type of movement, yeah, no biggie.
Yeah,
I'm still gonna coach them.
Well, yeah,
with the same amount of intention.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's not my preference.
Okay, very nice, very nice. Well, that was fun.
Yeah, I like that, man. That was a good little tidbit for the end of the episode.
Kind of wanted to mix things up a little bit.
For everybody listening, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. This is our first episode recorded on our new equipment. We have new mics. We have a new recorder. We didn't have to stop at 30 minutes, which was cool.
Yeah.
And if you guys have any comments for us, if you guys want to answer any of the questions that Keith asked, that would be fun to hear from you guys. Reach out to us on Instagram at Failure is Progress. You guys can also respond if you listen on Spotify. I believe you can also respond to the episodes on there. We'd love to hear from you there. Anything else, brother?
No, that's it. Leave us a review if you can. Give us 5 stars if you liked it. If you didn't, don't worry about it.
Only good reviews.
Yeah.
Only good reviews. All right, man. This has been fun, and we'll catch you guys on episode 24.
Yes, sir. Take care.